Stop with the questions. Celebrate.
And then they say, is Donald Trump an intellectual? Trust me, I'm like a smart person. Yosemite's one of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
Mike Lindell's a conspiracy.
Well, you haven't. Person, woman, man, camera, TV. They said nobody gets it in order. It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy.
Amazing.
He can't sit down. He's got a burning in his butthole. He's got a fire. He's got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Big, massive dumps.
Oh, I have a term for that. I call it corporate communism.
Somebody sent me a thing this morning where they're talking about putting the vaccine into salad dressing.
You see, this is a simple meme that you would find on the internet, but this meme is very real.
You ain't seen nothing yet until you see the flaming butthole.
Putting us on our knees to China.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
Stupid, the wokers.
The Nation, Waldorf Nation. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Tuesday, we get a fun show, interesting stuff, fun stories, but also disastrous stories as usual. So, yeah. Why don't we get into it? Before we do, please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. Helps us out, as always. Like and share all the wonderful things. You can, of course, also, like do the super chats and the bits and the subs and the gifted subs and all that fun stuff. Okay. Anyway, so we're gonna talk about Kari Lake. Oh no, Kari Lake and her final defeat. We have conservatives. And Fox News's we just found out about it. Apparently Fox News is woke. Hold on.
The wokers.
It's the wokers. But anyway, we're going to talk about that. We have an anti-choice extremist busted for trying to burn down a Planned Parenthood. Allegedly, of course. So we've got that. And then finally, we have a former Republican Senate candidate who made up a story about sex trafficking, admitting didn't actually happen. I just made it up for my political campaign. Oops. Fox News is run by woke commies? No, not woke ones.
Pink-haired communists.
That would be it. That's who runs Fox News, apparently, according to the right. Okay, so let's dive in. Please like and share the stream first. With that said, let's start up with Kari Lake. Get in, loser. We're going losing. Once again. Okay. Loser Kari Lake lost. Again, that's why she's a loser. And for what may be the final time, at least in court, in relation to the claim that she was cheated out of being the governor of Arizona. Guys, you know how ridiculous this is? Kari Lake wanted to be governor more than Katie Hobbs did, apparently. Katie Hobbs barely campaigned. Okay? But Kari Lake, for some reason, thinks, no, I'm entitled to be the governor of Arizona. And since I am not, I've been cheated. So let's get to the details of the court case that wrapped up on Monday. Maricopa County Superior Court Judge Peter A. Thompson said that Lake and her lawyers had failed to prove her claim that Maricopa County did not verify signatures on mail-in ballots as required by law. So again, that was the crux of her case. They didn't do their job. They weren't verifying these ballots. These ballots that made me lose. Lost by 17,000 votes. I mean, there's no way that that she could have come up with enough votes to overturn the election. Now, Thompson had originally dismissed this case, but the Arizona Supreme Court let her go forward to test her challenge over the signature verification. So now her team claimed that there was evidence that they did not provide, that lower level screeners who found inconsistencies in signatures ran them up the chain of command where they were ignored by higher level verifiers. So now, as I've mentioned before, signature verification is a pretty flawed method because people's signatures change literally all the time for various different reasons. Your arm might hurt and it'll change your signature that particular day. So it's insane that, we have this verification going on in a lot of these, states all over the country as a result of Republicans. Now, in this case, as I've explained the day before, that Kari Lake made these claims because, there are signatures that don't match up. It's so many signatures, and that must mean that these verifiers were not doing their job because they let those ballots go. But as I've explained as well, along with that, these verifiers, there are several different layers of signature verification that actually happen in this election. The upper tier supervisors, they have access to many different signatures from the same person as signatures change. So they can go and they can compare them with at least, I believe it was 3 to 5 different, signatures from the same person that have been proven to be from that same person. You see how ridiculous this entire thing is? So now the lower level verifiers, they only get like 1 or 2, okay, different signatures. I think it might even be 1. And they look at that and it doesn't match quite enough. And it's very subjective. And they say, well, I just don't think this signature is the same. Why don't I run it up to the next person here? That next person who has more access to signatures goes, nope, this looks fine. This matches another one or it's close enough, and sends it back down to get counted. That was explained by Kari Lake's own star expert witness. So at the end of the day, her claims of the state not following their own procedure when it comes to signature verification doesn't hold up. And of course, the conspiracy behind that is they did this on purpose, of which there is no evidence of. But again, her team claimed there was evidence that lower level screeners, again, found these inconsistencies and everyone had ignored them. She did not contest whether voter signatures in the ballot envelopes matched those of their voting records. Now, Thompson, who, by the way, was appointed by a former Republican governor, Jan Brewer, said that Kari Lake and her lawyers did not meet the high bar of evidence needed to support the claim that they weren't doing their job and that there was some deep state conspiracy that was going on here. Which, again, no deep state conspiracy. It didn't happen. At the end of the day, the verifiers did their job. They didn't ignore signatures. They followed the law. There was no there. There was just no case, no conspiracy. Certainly not one that was able to keep 17,000 votes away from Kari Lake that she believes that she was owed. All of her other contentions had also been thrown out in previous cases. Earlier, she had said that problems with ballot printers at some polling places in Maricopa County were, again, the result of a conspiracy theory, but had no evidence to back that up, and no evidence that votes were not counted. In fact, county officials pointed out that everybody had a chance to vote, and that all the ballots were counted because those affected by the printers, which printed too lightly, were taken to more sophisticated counters at election headquarters that were able to see the ballots and count them. And in mid-February, the Arizona Court of Appeals rejected Lake's assertions, concluding that she had presented no evidence that voters whose ballots were unreadable by tabulators at polling places were unable to vote. She also claimed that tens of thousands of votes were just erroneously added to the rolls, which, again, not true, no evidence. Where is it? Where is the evidence? Oh, right.
Just forget about the evidence.
That's her entire assertion. Forget about it. I'm right. Just appoint me governor already. Now, in March, the state Supreme Court declined to hear that appeal, saying that there was no evidence, again, to support the claim that more than 35,000 ballots were added to vote totals, and they'd even sanctioned Lake's lawyers $2,000 for lying about it, for repeating those lies afterwards. So this adds onto the heap another challenge that she had lost. And again, they were all lost based on baseless conspiracies. Look, are there perfectly legitimate grounds in which to challenge elections? Of course. Where you do have equipment failure, which I think was one of the better, I guess one of the more, logical challenges, like, hey, look, the printers didn't work right. So let's go and see if all those votes counted. And it turns out they did. There's also, voter suppression, voter intimidation, not following the proper procedure. Okay. But here, we don't have any evidence of any of those things having an impact on the vote. And look, those challenges, by the way, are fine, and some of which Kari Lake and her lawyers had presented. But the problem was, behind all of those was an issue of intent, you see. She argued that, no, this was a conspiracy to make me lose because they intended to have all of these, first the mechanical failure. They did it on purpose to make me lose. They weren't checking the signatures. So, that means that they were conspiring to make me lose. No, that's not what happened at all. At the end of the day, she is incredibly salty and a very, very sore loser. Her ego could not handle it, and she had learned, of course, from the biggest ego, Donald Trump. Now, look, for me, I know if you run for office, it helps to be a little crazy, it helps to be a little vain, and a little be, have a bit of an ego, right? Which is why I can never run for office. But Kari Lake, at the end of the day, she has taken the ego and the crazy and has taken it to an extreme where she cannot accept a legitimate loss. I guess the good news on that is that she continues to prove herself to be so insane and out of touch with reality that I think most Arizona voters will never allow her anywhere near power. Okay. Moving on. She has cost taxpayer money as well. True. Very true. All right. Oh, yeah. You know what we've got going on now. All right.
It's disgusting what happened there.
Mike Pillow is not happy with the loss of Kari Lake. Her final courtroom loss Which means, of course, it is time for another episode of Pillow Talk.
God gave me this platform. I already know I'm going to win. China did our vote. Biden and Harris would say, hey, we're here to protect the country, and resign. Mike Lindell's a conspiracy. But you haven't. Just forget about the evidence. This was attacked.
On Monday, Maricopa County Superior Court Judge Peter Thompson rejected Kari Lake's final election lawsuit because there was just not clear and convincing evidence or preponderance of evidence showing any sort of misconduct as a result of a conspiracy to make sure Kari Lake loses the election. Now, the last case involved whether or not the screeners were doing signature match verification and were purposely not doing their jobs in order to help their Democratic opponent, Katie Hobbs. According to court records, plaintiff did not demonstrate any lack of compliance with the statute or the EPM, though it did acknowledge that she brought a signature verification expert, but that there was no statutory or regulatory requirement that a specific amount of time be applied to review any signature at any level of review. So basically, this was the last of her election challenges that had been presented to the courts, meaning that I guess it's done. It's over with, right? Well, Mike Pillow says, not so fast. Take a look.
Well, we expected that. We expected that judge to make that ruling. And it's actually, this stuff all has to end up with a higher court because there's so many. Either they're going to fear compromised judges. This judge was seen at a sucker bug convention just a few weeks ago. He made a bad ruling. How can you do that? You can't say, here, this is a pen, and everyone says, well, no, that's not really a pen. You didn't show us that was a pen. It's disgusting what happened there, but it's all part of a process.
It is all part of a process on which the Kari Lake lost. Now, he went on to further say that, well, we're not going to give up, and Kari Lake's not going to give up, and we're going to continue. Because, of course, right? But I love his example. So this is a pen. This is a pen. How dare you call it not a pen? Well, that's obviously not a pen. I mean, he's using this weird baby brain logic where he's like, you didn't show us that it wasn't a pen. Wait, so that's the court telling you that you don't have evidence of conspiracy theory. Now, if you're trying to convince someone that you are holding a pen, you might want to hold a pen. This isn't a pen. It's the closest thing I had near me. Yeah. No, but here's the thing with these guys. Okay, he's a conspiracy theorist. We know Mike Pillow is a conspiracy theorist because all he does is to talk about conspiracy theories.
Just forget about the evidence.
Okay, so nothing but winning will ever be good enough for him. Nothing but taking it to the Supreme Court will ever be good enough for him. And again, their promise to, we're going to bring it to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court doesn't want anything to do with this. Maybe Clarence Thomas does, but no one else seems to want to touch it. And so, look, when it doesn't happen, he's going to continue to complain now about compromised judges and bring Mark Zuckerberg into it for some odd reason. It's a very random thing to bring up, but apparently Kari Lake losing her last election challenge somehow is tied to the owner of Meta. No. Look, this guy, I'm no fan of Mark Zuckerberg, all right? Because he's a billionaire. A billionaire shouldn't exist, in my opinion. But he's too busy blowing billions of dollars on fake computer-generated worlds that no one wants. I mean, literally, he's like losing billions of dollars for like this metaverse that no one wants to actually be in there. No one cares. You know what? Maybe though, maybe I have a solution here. It's very elegant, simple solution. Perhaps Mark Zuckerberg can make a metaverse space where Donald Trump is still president and Kari Lake is governor of Arizona. Perhaps then Mike Pillow will go and live in that, and take all the other everyone else, all of his conspiracy theory friends with him, then go live there. Oh wait, no, wouldn't happen because you know what? It would be run by machines. Mike Pillow, famously not a fan of machines. Look, I wish this meant, Kari Lake's loss meant that this was over, but obviously it's not. They're going to continue pushing the, election denial saga, and will continue to rack up loss after hilarious loss. And we're just going to be forced, once again, to sit here and laugh at them. What are you going to do? Darn. Okay. Let's move on to the wokeness.
The wokers.
Conservatives have been melting down over a report that Fox News is gone woke. Or maybe was secretly woke all along. So this comes from right-wing outlet Daily Signal, who had spoken to current and former Fox News employees, with the condition of anonymity, of course, and claims they found out some very troubling things happening over at the conservative network. Look, basically, one of their sources is going to tell you all that you need to know here. This source is a former producer for Tucker Carlson. So, nonetheless, here's what he said. Am I using the right pronoun? I don't know. We'll go with he. Quote, they want you to think that it's this place that supports traditionally conservative values, but in reality, they're pushing nonsense behind the scenes. Oh, what kind of nonsense? According to the Fox Employee Handbook, the company says that it is dedicated to, quote, expanding and strengthening efforts to sustain a more inclusive work environment.
Oh, no.
Inclusive? No. You know what?
Can't let that happen.
That's what these people say. Now, look, it gets worse in these people's minds. This article is, again, filled with rage over transgender bathroom policies at Fox News. So now, employees, according to the policy, who are transitioning their gender have a right to be open about their transition if they so choose, and to work in an environment free of harassment, discrimination, or retaliation, and without fear of consequences or transphobia for living openly. Wow. I mean, that's surprisingly based from, Fox News' handbook. Like, if they're actually as open as these people claim, well, that's actually great. Why is this a bad thing? Well, it's not, but to them it is. Yes, I'm saying that employees at Fox News must be treated as human beings. And they react with, the horror. Oh my God, no. No. Another former Fox employee tells The Signal, quote, Fox News devotes hours of programming to attacking woke companies. But ironically, Fox is as woke as the rest of them. Fox viewers would be astonished to find out what the company is like. Of course, the intimation here is, once they find out that Fox News actually treats transgender employees like human beings, oh, they're going to be so mad. And well, look, unfortunately, they're probably right. The pearl clutching here is just absolutely amazing. They're telling on themselves in a couple of different ways. For one, they're pointing out that Fox News is filled with hypocrisy, and that's true. Yes, they do devote hours and hours of programming to, attacking transgender bathroom policies that are inclusive, right? While they have the same policy. But these people also, the ones who are so angry about this, they're also telling on themselves, and they're saying, we just want more bigotry. It's not about protecting children. We just hate pronouns. We hate transgender people. We're proud bigots over here. And we're just mad that Fox News is forced to not be bigots. We don't want an inclusive workplace. That to them is one of the worst things about this. Like, literally, for them, it is a betrayal. Now, there's one passage in the story, which I guess is supposed to inspire dread. Just points out the fact that Fox News in their handbook uses inclusive language. Citing the Human Rights Campaign, they write, one of the most prominent LGBTQ organizations in the country, the Fox Handbook defines a slew of LGBTQ terms, including cisgender, gender expression, gender fluid, gender identity, gender nonconforming, gender transition, LGBTQ, non-binary, and transgender. Be afraid, Fox viewers, for the company itself uses the word transgender, non-binary. Again, this entire thing is ridiculous. They also point out that for the past several years, Fox has received a perfect score on the Human Rights Campaign's Corporate Equality Index, the nation's foremost benchmarking survey and report measuring corporate policies and practices related to LGBTQ+ workplace equality. Former Fox News employee told the Daily Signal the company frequently mentions this perfect score in employee training materials. So again, their whole problem is, how dare you treat people with humanity and equality? Oh my God. The worst thing in the world. All of this is just ridiculous. Okay. Why are people angry at this? Other than the hypocrisy angle, which I've already talked about, people are mad. Now, Fox News, their handbook also goes into onto talk about respecting the privacy of transitioning employees, and that only transitioning employees may disclose that they're trying to change their. This is their phrasing, by the way, in the Daily Signal, their biology. And anyone who might know about their colleagues' gender transition must respect that person's right to privacy. Fox also offers to help employees come up with workplace gender transition plan. It also provides employees with time off for treatment or medical procedures, and also allows people to change their name and their pronouns and use the bathroom that corresponds to their identity. All of this apparently is a nightmare for conservatives.
Oh no!
They hate it. Like, they can't help themselves getting how... And again, I'll give you an example of how angry some of them are. Now, the former Fox employee who spoke with the Daily Signal had, this is again according to the Daily Signal, scathingly critiqued the network for running hours of program attacking companies for having leftist policies. Fox is no different. It's a standard American mega corporation with the same types of policies and employees as those other companies. Yes, they're a corporation, and yes, they have to abide by regulations. As much as they rail against them, they have to. But let me just go to the framing here. Oh, treating transgender people as if they're human beings worthy of, basic respect and respecting their names. Somehow that is a leftist policy. No, it's not. No, it's not. Respect is not leftist, okay? Everyone is capable of respect. That's all this is. These people want to not respect transgender people because of the fact that they're transgender. That's it. You really do have to go out of your way to be an a-hole. When it comes to, like, you have to go out of your way to dead name a trans person. You have to go out of your way not to use proper pronouns. It actually takes more energy to be a hateful jerk, a hateful douche, than it does just to respect someone's name and gender identity. And really, that's what they want to do. They want to go out of their way to be hateful people. Now, that said, I'm not defending Fox News. Fox News is a terrible corporation. We know this. And there's a reason. Fox policies appear to be aligned with the legal requirements in New York City, where the company is headquartered, as well as in California, where a large number of its employees work. So what I'm trying to say there is they're forced to do it by the law, which protects marginalized people. That's it. Like all these companies, you got to follow the law. That's it. Now, that said, these guys are incredibly salty about it, and I'm going to show you a video of some of that.
I kind of think Roger Ailes is rolling over in his grave right now, Rob. This is not the Fox that you and I knew very well.
Right. And what this all really boils down to, this is just one example of this big, woke machine that has all of these massive companies, which Fox is.
It almost feels like bullying at this point, that the people who say they need to be protected are now forcing their beliefs on the people around them. And
Megan, I got an email asking me to go on a program a couple weeks ago, and the producer had his pronouns in his email signature.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh my God.
I'm not going to say what show. Yeah, at Fox. And they're asking me to come on the show. And I sent it to my team. I said, we are not going on this show. Let me be very clear,
the answer is no.
Yeah, it's like he, him, whatever. I said, look, this at some point, you got to just say no. Okay, I am not going to put up with this.
Pronouns. You're not going to go on Fox News because of pronouns? Baby.
Beta male.
Are you afraid of pronouns? Is Charlie Kirk, are you afraid of pronouns? And that's what it sounds like. I'm not going to go on the show because he, him, in the bio. No, babies. Now, the other guy, the reporter, so-called reporter, over at Newsmax. Oh, they're shoving it in my face. No, just existing is not shoving it in your face. You know what it sounds like? It sounds like these people want a safe space. I mean, that's what it is. Now, remember all the conservatives that would go around making fun of so-called safe spaces, right, on college campuses? Oh, safe space, snowflake, liberal. Wait, I thought you were saying this is the liberals that were the snowflakes, but it turns out, no, you were the snowflakes all along. Okay. All right, a little bit more serious story here. An anti-choice extremist has been arrested for allegedly trying to burn down a Planned Parenthood. So now we have the return of not abortion clinic bombings, but arson, which is pretty close. Now, according to the Danville, Illinois police, 73-year-old Philip J. Bueno, who had allegedly drove his vehicle into a Planned Parenthood building with canisters of gasoline located in the back of his car. According to an affidavit, Danville police responded to an alarm at 600 North Logan Avenue in Danville around 4:30 a.m. Saturday morning. They found Bueno stuck inside a maroon Volkswagen Passat that he had backed into the entrance of the building, which is being renovated for use as a reproductive health clinic. According to the affidavit, Bueno brought several containers filled with gasoline with him. And as a result, Danville police had arrested Bueno on Saturday. If convicted of attempted arson, Bueno faces 5 to 20 years in prison, a fine of up to $250,000, and 3 years of supervised release. So this is yet again another example of a right-wing anti-choice extremist attempting to carry out acts of terrorism with a political motive. And that's what this is. This is political terrorism. And by the way, look, right-wing terrorism is the number one politically motivated type of crime in this country. In 2022, 77 people were killed by right-wing white supremacist extremists. That's the violence that we're seeing in this country. Marjorie Greene, however, is holding hearings about left-wing Antifa and BLM violence. No mention of, while also, by the way, claiming that white supremacist extremism doesn't exist. Well, here's another example of that. Here's another example of white supremacist extremism. Now, hold on. You think, wait a minute. Well, this guy's an anti-choicer, but what makes him a white supremacist? We'll get into that. Turns out they're very much linked, the anti-abortion movement and white supremacy. So now, that said, let's get into more about this guy. Apparently, he's been caught many times trespassing at Planned Parenthood Health Center in Peoria, Illinois, and was there as recently as 2019. Bueno also has alleged ties to several local groups that have harassed clinic workers and patients throughout the state. Apparently, though, harassment was not enough, and so he decided to try to start some fires, apparently. Now, I'm going to show you some video here involving Bueno, where he admits that, yes, he is trespassing at Planned Parenthoods. He keeps getting caught and having to go to court. And this is all part of his quest to make Peoria a sanctuary for the preborn.
I could promise you that I won't trespass at Planned Parenthood maybe until my birthday, which is March 1st. But I'll promise you I won't, and I won't. I'll say, if you can help direct me to some city official, whether it's court or whether it's police or somebody else, that's a city official that I could talk to that's pro-life. If you just set me up with somebody I could talk with, because I'm going to advance the idea of making Peoria a city of refuge for the preborn.
Right.
City of refuge for the preborn. So now look, this guy, 73 years old, he's in a wheelchair. What is he doing trying to do arson? But, he did so allegedly because he says that, they're doing some very, very bad things. Very bad things. And that caused him to first do harassment outside of people, to people outside of a Planned Parenthood, which does more than just abortion services, by the way. In fact, abortions are a very small part of what the organization actually does. Mostly they do pap smears, health screenings, provide contraception, all of that stuff, especially for people in low-income areas. But this guy doesn't know any about, any of that, doesn't really care about it. In fact, he's going to express why he's doing what he's doing.
We're in a murder quagmire in Illinois, and we're moving that way in many states in the nation, right, where we not only will murder babies in the womb, but we're even having what's called birthday abortions.
Right.
No, not right. Not right. Wrong. The birthday abortion is not a real thing. It doesn't exist. It's a right-wing lie. It's a unicorn. Nobody is taking babies that are born and killing them. You know what that would be? That would be actually considered murder, and no one is actually advocating for anyone to do that. But we've seen this lie come up over and over again. Look, in the cases where there is a late-term abortion, which is incredibly rare, by the way, it's because of a medical complication. It's because of an issue where the child or the mother or both will not survive the birth. That fetus will either die in utero, which, if that happens, of course, the dead tissue will be, it will become necrotic and poison the mother, and she could die, and not being able to deliver. Other issues, of course, again, multiple different health issues that could lead to the death of, again, the mother, where the fetus will not be able to survive outside the womb. I mean, babies born with, their brain outside of their body. Conservatives are like, no, you're going to be forced to give birth to that, to a baby that is going to literally die in your arms. What is the point? Well, the point is control. The point is cruelty. Now, in those situations, I mean, it's a tragedy. But this guy believes, thanks to politicians, for example, like Ted Cruz, Donald Trump, who talked about this, spread this lie of birthday abortions. Oh, abortions up into after even the moment of birth. Not true. Not true. They even cite, without evidence, random Twitter accounts that claim the laws in New York and Virginia falsely allow for people to legally murder their children 28 days after birth. After birth. That's just not true. But the insanity here is you have people that believe it, and since they believe it, they then will act on it, even if they're in a wheelchair, and try to blow up or burn down a building based on this. I mean, this is what happens in today's far right. They can't win on the actual merits of the argument, right? They actually can't win because, again, when people, even though there are a lot of people that are personally pro-life in their own mind, it's still not our, job, our place to tell people what to do with their own bodies, to tell them that they must be forced to, by the state, by the big government, to have kids. To have that state, big government control their body, their reproductive functions. So, and that's why they lie. And by the way, one of the reasons that they push this so much is because it is considered to be a wedge issue for people who claim to be pro-life. And there is, there are people that are in power that see the versatility of using this argument, of using this wedge issue to remain in power. The Republican Party, basically figured out, oh, we can use this because it turns out our argument for lowering taxes for rich people, not really all that effective in getting people on our side. So let's just lie and claim that we're pro-life, and then when we get into power, we're just going to cut taxes for ourselves. And that's generally what it is. So now look, unfortunately, with the right wing pushing all this lie, these lies and this disinformation, we have this situation, but it actually it's worse. Because you would think that, hey, if you just tell people the reality, if you are honest with them, and if you tell them the facts and everything, and try to appeal to people's sense of, it's not my place, but this is what's actually happening, that you could sway people on your side. No. Unfortunately, this goes far further than that. And there are some people that, no matter what, are not going to accept factual information. And there are groups that actively, push this misinformation for their own political gains. In fact, you have white supremacist groups that have latched onto the anti-choice movement. And actually, it is a big part of white supremacy. In fact, I'm going to tell you just a pretty disastrous survey here that shows you how much these two, you would think are actually more of disparate groups, but no, how much they're actually linked together. In February of 2022, a Marcon survey had contacted a national sample of 1,021 Americans, asking them about their views on white supremacy, male supremacy, and abortion. The survey found significant evidence of the racialization of anti-abortion politics on the American right via the mainstreaming of white supremacy. While only 15% of American adults overall agreed with someone named Mary Miller's claim that the Dobbs decision, which was the Supreme Court decision that struck down Roe v. Wade, was a victory for white life, the number was more than twice as high, 35% among Trump supporters. Now, later on, Miller was like, "Oh, well, I didn't actually mean to say white life. I just meant it's a victory for life." And somehow it just came out wrong. These 35% of Trump supporters were like, no. We liked the original. We liked it when you said white life. It's a victory for white life. More than a third of Trump's followers, as a result, embrace this white supremacist value and have linked those values to anti-abortion views. And you see it all over the right wing, where you have politicians that are embracing white replacement theory. White replacement theory is conspiracy theory that alleges that Jews are importing immigrants into this country to replace white people and are using abortion to limit the amount of white babies, to kill the white babies. Now, in this, you do see a lot of people that are like, well, what about black people? Well, abortion is killing millions of black babies. They don't actually care about the lives of black people. Again, they do not see black people, black children specifically, as equal to white children. If they did, well then, the pro-life movement would actually care about the infant mortality rate of black babies, black infants. They have the highest infant mortality rate in this country at 10.4 deaths per 1,000 live births. According to the Health and Human Services Department, non-Hispanic black African Americans have 2.4 times the infant mortality rate as non-Hispanic whites. Non-Hispanic black African American infants are almost 4 times as likely to die from complications related to low birth weight as compared to non-Hispanic white infants. And non-Hispanic black African American infants had 2.9 times the sudden infant death syndrome mortality rate as non-Hispanic whites. These are all from the year 2020. So the top 2 causes of infant mortality for African Americans are low birth weight, as I mentioned, that's the top, and congenital malformations. So some of these issues could be helped to help reduce that high infant mortality through offering things like universal health care, for example, more prenatal care, having better, access to medicine, to be able to go to a doctor, to be able to afford to go to a doctor. That's why we need Medicare for all. But see, instead of doing that, which would help, again, lower the rate of infant mortality, plus, having programs like the SNAP program, which right now Republicans are looking to completely gut, put in work requirements that are even more punishing than they are now, and to limit the amount of welfare while giving more in corporate welfare to giant corporations. They're doing everything they can to disincentivize families, disincentivize people from having and starting families, from having children, while taking away people's ability to make their own reproductive choices. This has never been about saving the babies. It's never been about saving children. It's never been about life, being pro-life. It's always been about controlling someone else for the specifically white women, taking away their rights so that they will continue to be broodmares to them to continue on the white race. This is all linked to white supremacy. This anti-abortion, anti-choice movement, again, is directly linked with this. And that's why you do see people like Bino choosing violence and terrorism instead of trying to, support policies on the left, championed by the left, that would help make people's material conditions better and support the creation of families. Okay. The pandemic, among other things, proved that they are the pro-death party. Well, I mean, if grandma has to die for, corporate profits, then, that's what she's going to have to do. It was something that they admitted. All right. Moving on. We have another Republican line. Big shocker, right? A failed Republican congressional candidate has admitted to making up a story about child sex trafficking to help his campaign. So, first, I remember doing this story a while back, and, now we have this person, Ryan Darkwhite. I'm not kidding, that's his name. Who ran a Senate bid in Maryland under a different name, John McGreevey. John McGreevey, Ryan Darkwhite, whatever you want to call him, also referred to himself as the Patriot whistleblower. So he's got a lot of different names, all right? Now, he claimed that he had witnessed in an adult bookstore despicable acts of child abuse and exploitation, and again, it turns out that no, that was not true at all. Now, this got the attention, however, these claims of QAnon and other right-wing figures who claim, constantly that there is a massive pedophile ring in this country driven by Democrats and the left. Maybe you want to actually check in the churches, that's where, and in the Republican Party, because that seems to be where a lot of the pedophiles are. Not all of them, but a great majority of them. So now it's funny because some of his allegations also included Mike Pence.
Mike Pounds.
Exactly. And Chief Justice John Roberts, who were apparently in on the massive child sex exploitation ring. Those men, notorious lefties, I hear. But he admitted it, that it was a lie. I know.
Oh my God, he admitted.
On April 9th, 2022, writes Darkwhite, I went to work at the Mistress. When I arrived at work, I noticed a young girl and an elderly male in the store near the ATM. I immediately recognized this as an opportunity to potentially obtain traction for my political career as I was running for U.S. Senate. The apology goes on to note that he distributed pictures of the child to his followers, falsely claiming that this child was being trafficked. It turns out, no, it wasn't true. Following an investigation, which police, again, used taxpayer money to run down this claim, police said they tracked down the man who had entered the store with the girl and confirmed that he had just entered to use the ATM. That's it. Oops. Though he did not mention it in his apology, Ryan Darkwhite also made videos claiming to have seen the child half nude and that she had been forced into sex acts with adults in the back of the store. Again, that was not true at all. You're just making up spurious allegations against someone and distributing, pictures of this girl to your followers so that people will attack people who allegedly, abused her. So using her as a political pawn, all for your failed Senate candidacy. It's just gross on gross. Now, he was eventually charged last July with filing false police reports, but rather than confess at the time, White doubled down. In fact, he claimed the charges were part of a deep state effort to silence him and upend his congressional campaign. Not true. In a July 18th video, White claimed to have been working undercover as John McGreevey at the adult bookstore. He denied having filed a false report because the complaint emerged after he told the trafficking story to other people who took it seriously and raised alarm. He said, "Now, how is that me filing a false police report? Didn't happen. One lie after another. The continued insinuation that I'm using this for political gain, pathetic." But you are actually using this political as part of your political campaign for political gain. That's exactly what you were doing, and later on, you go and admit it. Now, after the charges, Walt falsely accused the arresting officer of consorting with a sex trafficker. Quote, "I also posted photographs of him and his wife on my Truth Social account to have my follower base harass him," White admitted in his apology. So, now look, how dangerous is that? We know the right wing has people there who are itching to do violence. They can't wait to do violence. They're doing violence all the time. Again, in 2022, white supremacist violence caused the death of 77 people. How many people did Antifa or BLM or left-wing violence kill in 2022? None. Zero. So, they're the violent ones. Oh, and, what happens when you take a group of people that are seemingly predisposed to doing violence against people, right? And you take that mob and you point at them and you say, "This guy's a pedo," without any evidence of that. Well, you're going to destroy that person's life. You're going to invite violence on them. That's what's going to happen. White's claims of being an undercover porn store investigator came more than a year after he positioned himself as a whistleblower in conspiracy circles. In January 2021, he gave a deposition to pro-Trump lawyer Lynn Wood, claiming without evidence that Vice President Mike Pence and Chief Justice John Roberts had also been involved in a sex trafficking ring. Again, not true. Not a fan of Mike Pence, not a fan of John Roberts, but that's just not true. You just can't make things up about people. Now, soon after the deposition, Wood appeared to refer to it in court filings in which Wood argued that he should not be punished for social media posts implying that Roberts was a sex trafficker, which is, again, defamation, libel, slander, whatever you want to call it. Court records show that White pleaded guilty to drug charges in 2010 and to healthcare fraud and possession of ammunition by a prohibited person in 2016. So that just shows he had a history of, doing some very bad things, very naughty things. In a statement on White's apology this week, Harford County, Maryland Sheriff Jeff Gawler said that prosecutors seldom pursue charges of filing false police reports. However, in this case, he said, "When such serious allegations are levied and a tremendous amount of law enforcement man-hours are put into investigating the allegations, protests were organized against the business, and many members of our community were, and Sheriff's office were professionally and personally attacked and demeaned. It was imperative that Mr. White be held responsible for his purposeful actions and his wildly false claims and accusations." So, there are a couple of things about this. The first thing that I noticed is, the cops took action because it targeted cops. Keeping it real. That's part of it. Because generally, we've seen a lot of law enforcement on the side of these weirdo right-wingers. This time it affected them. But at least we did get the investigation that found out that, and the eventual admission that Dark White was lying. That he's a liar, that he was making up this, QAnon-style sex trafficking ring allegations in order to help himself in his political career, which thankfully didn't work. But there are enough Republicans out there that buy into this. There are enough right-wingers out there that buy into this, QAnon absolute and utter nonsense. And that is an incredibly dangerous thing. It's gonna, it's gonna get people killed. It's already getting anti-trans laws passed. Unfortunately, they're tying transgender people, members of the LGBTQ community, to abusers. When we know that's not true, when we know that's not the case, when your children are 100 times more safer at a drag show than you are with a Republican congressman or a priest. It's absolutely ridiculous. And, we have to figure out some way to fight against this, because it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Okay. All right. Working undercover at the porn shop, waiting for the deep state to slip up. Huh. That's a good point. Pretty sure he was just there at the porn shop for a little bit of
sexual anarchy.
And you gotta love it. Totally fine. Have fun at the adult bookstore. I got no problems with that. Nobody does. But when you're sitting there making things up and harming real people, that's that's where you got to draw the line. Okay. That's all I have for the show today. Thank you, KF Logan 1875, for the raid, the raiding party of 40. Appreciate that. Please give us a follow if you haven't already. Also, Wayward Historian, thank you for gifting a tier 1 sub. And also, Anonymous Gifter, thank you for gifting a tier 1 sub on Twitch. Thank you, Twitch followers. Let's go to our YouTube super chat. Don't forget Youth Pastors. Yeah. Gabby Mathis, thank you for being super, super generous today with the 2 gifted memberships and the $100 super chat. If I sign up for your Patreon, is this a recurring donation? And is all the money going to you? Love to Michigan. So for Patreon, there's still a small cut, but that, of course, happens with all these different crowdfunding. For example, you do a super chat and a small cut of it goes to Google. For Patreon, small part of it goes to Patreon, but the vast majority goes to me. I think it actually turns out to be better. And yes, it would be a recurring monthly donation. But of course, you could give a one-time donation and then cancel it so that it doesn't take out every month. There are different ways that you can do that and make that work. But thank you for the question, and thank you even more for the massive super chat. I appreciate that. Victor said sleeping at the end. Yeah, don't worry. We're on same time, same place. Tomorrow. Actually, 5 days a week, normally, and a normal schedule. Straw Carpenter, thank you. The very kind $10 super chat from Vegetarians. Well, thank you, Vegetarians. Thank you, Vegans. Thank you, Omnivores. Thank you to everybody who, helps out the show. You're all valid and loved. So, with that, let's raid into, we'll do a Surfs raid. For those on Twitch, to everybody else, again, please like and share the stream. Check out our videos on our YouTube channel or on Facebook. Put up videos every day that we have a show. All right. Thank you all. You have a great night. And remember, change begins with you. Love you guys. We'll see you all later.
Get in a long tube with a bunch of bees.
There's no ice cream in hell.
Don't you? I tell you don't do it.
Who's got a hammer?
Oh no!
There's some whores in this house. Wet ass keyword.
Sexual anarchy.
It's not a salami sandwich.
Disappointed!
They're kicking me out the door. They're kicking me out the door.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.